So in roughly a month, Apple is going to come out with the Apple Watch. And that prompted this question of the month. So 2 weeks ago, I asked you guys, what do you think of smartwatches? First of all, I want to say that this is not a scientific poll. This is not a scientific sampling of what the general public thinks of smartwatches. This is just going over what you guys thought and, of course, my thoughts. Now, the one thing I found that was very interesting in this whole thing is that smartwatches have been around for just under 2 years now. And not one person who responded to my question last week, or even myself, owns a smartwatch. Now again, this is not a scientific poll, but what that tells me is that smartwatches are a niche product at this point. Now, does that mean that smartwatches are destined to be a niche product? Or does it mean that no one's done it right yet? Now, a lot of people think that Apple will look at a product category and perfect it and then bring the product to market. So a lot of people are looking to the Apple Watch to open the floodgates for the smartwatch category. People will cite the iPhone as a runaway success product, as well as, if you go back into their history a little bit more, the iPod. And those are two great examples to support that thought. But Apple has their fair share of failures as well, and kind of mediocre products. If you look at the Apple TV, it's a good product, but by no means a runaway success like some of their other products. If you look at Ping, which was their music social media service, that was a failure and Ping doesn't exist anymore. So Apple has its fair share of mediocre products and failures as well as its runaway successes. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that Apple is really going to blow up the smartwatch market. But let's get into your responses first before we get into all of that. So again, the question of this month was, what do you think of smartwatches? And 30% of you said that you like smartwatches. Arvid Holmes said, I like them. I want the LG G Watch R. Now, I apologize if I mispronounce your names here. I'm going to try my best. But Iroha Iro said, I like smartwatches. And Wacko Gavin said the exact same thing. Now, the 30% of the people that responded to this question said that they liked smartwatches, but they really didn't embellish too much on why. Now, 10% of you were undecided about smartwatches. Kyle Rochot said, I have mixed thoughts about it. They're pretty cool. You can do more than looking at the time on them, but what's the point of it? Are people becoming too lazy to grab their cell phone out of their pocket? You can do some of the same stuff on your smartwatch as you can do on a cell phone. I prefer a regular watch and do all that other stuff on a cell phone. So Kyle is not convinced. So we had 30% that liked it, 10% that was unconvinced, and we have 60%, a majority, that actually dislike smartwatches. Sporty Bros said, I think that they're a bit of a fad. I Told You So said, I don't have a smartphone, so I don't need a smartwatch. I think the battery life is still too weak for me. 3 things that all smart devices need to get right first before I buy one is battery life, battery life, battery life. George Cartali says, I don't see a need for a smartwatch, for me personally. I think they are a waste of time. What is the difference if I pull up my sleeve or pull out my phone? Mario Aviles said, they are useless. Leonard McLean said, I don't have one, and I feel no inclination to buy one. I'm a technology nut, but I think smartwatches are a fad. At the end of the day, they are basically little more than a Bluetooth watch with little functionality beyond a Bluetooth accessory for one's phone. The screens are tiny and limiting. The battery life is poor to awful, and I just don't see them lasting in the tech market today. Steve M says, I don't have any use for them. Not sure I ever would need one. Now, I can't stress this enough. This is not a scientific poll, and I'm not claiming that it is, but I just find the results kind of interesting. So, what are my thoughts on the topic? Well, I'm going to consider the Pebble watch as the real first smartwatch. You do have smart bands, fitness bands. I'm not going to include those as smartwatches. So the Pebble watch came out to consumers in July of 2013. And since then, the Pebble watch has sold about 1 million watches, actually over 1 million watches. As of December 31st, 2014, they had sold 1 million watches. Then we have Android Wear watches. And Canalys, which monitors sell-through and shipments of consumer electronics and whatnot, said that there were 720,000 Android Wear watches shipped in 2014. And being that Android Wear only came out in 2014, that gives you an idea of how many of those watches are out there. Now, of course, you can always debate shipped versus sold, but in a lot of cases, it's very difficult to get a hold of these numbers. So we're just going to give you a rough idea of how many smartwatches are currently out there. Now, as I mentioned, these numbers are difficult to come by, and I've looked for the sell-through or even the shipped numbers for the Samsung Gear watches, which are not all Android Wear watches. We'll get into that in a second. But I couldn't really find a solid number on Samsung Gear watches. The only number I could find was a November 2013 number, which was that they had shipped 800,000 watches. But it's very unclear as to how many of those actually sold through to the consumer. So if you combine all of these numbers, within the 16 months that smartwatches have existed, there's at least 2.5 million of them out there. And that's a very conservative estimate. There probably are closer to 4 million out there, depending on the Samsung Gear sell-through. Now again, these numbers are very difficult to get a hold of. I did a lot of research for this video, and I can't get a hold of an exact number of these smartwatches that were sold. But I'm just talking in general terms here. Within 16 months, that's not a whole lot of devices that are out there. Now, the Apple Watch is coming out in roughly a month, like I had mentioned before. And Apple expects to sell 5 million of those watches in their first batch. That's what they ordered. 5 million, or at least that's what has been rumored that they ordered, were 5 million Apple Watches for the launch on April 24th. So in other words, Apple expects to outsell all the other smartwatches that have ever been in existence for 16 months within their initial batch of Apple Watches. Will it happen? I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. It's definitely possible, but will it be sustainable? Now, personally, I don't think that smartwatches are there yet. And the main reason for that is because that they're companion devices, for the most part. There are very few smartwatches that can actually make phone calls or be standalone devices. There are some off-brand Chinese smartwatches that you can get, that you can make phone calls on. But the main two right now that are actually standalone devices are the Samsung Gear S, which is a 3G smartwatch, and then the upcoming LG Urbane watch, which actually has LTE built into it. But that's just a small sliver of the smartwatch market. The vast majority of smartwatches are companion devices that need your cell phone to work. And that's a big drawback, in my opinion. If you're carrying your cell phone on you, why do you need a second screen on you as well? Now, there's going to be people who have use cases for this, but I'm talking about mass market appeal. I don't have a need for two devices on me. My cell phone suffices. And one of the main reasons I would always default to my cell phone is because it has a larger battery, it has a larger screen. Now, there's a reason that the Apple iPhone no longer has a 3.5-inch screen. The largest iPhone that you can get right now has a 5.5-inch screen. And the reason for that is because people want larger screens because they want to be able to do more things on their phone. So going to a much smaller screen on your wrist is a step back, and the market isn't moving in that direction. Now, as was mentioned before in this video, battery life is definitely a concern with a smartwatch. Now, a device like the Pebble is really the only kind of smartwatch that I could even consider buying, potentially, even though it doesn't offer me enough that I'd want to buy it, but it's the closest device out there currently that I think gets the smartwatch concept correct. It's a basic device that will give you notifications, it's waterproof, and the battery life will last about a week. I personally think that the way hardware is currently for smartwatches, that the Pebble gets it right, and that every other device out there is reaching just a little bit further than its grasp at this point. Of course, technology moves forward fast, so hopefully that won't be the case for much longer. And because technology advances, I could see a use case for a smartwatch down the line. Now again, for me, it would have to be a standalone device. Now when I leave the house with three things. I leave the house with my keys, my smartphone, and my wallet. The interesting thing about a smartwatch is that it could replace all of those things if necessary, but no device is quite there yet. I like the fact that a smartwatch can replace your keys. If you have a car that responds to the smartwatch, if you have a door lock that can interact with your smartwatch, that's interesting to me. Paying for things with your smartwatch is another thing that's interesting to me. And of course, being a standalone device where it can actually make phone calls and you can look things up on it, even though the screen is very small, it'll do in certain situations. Now, I can't ever see a smartwatch replacing my phone, but let's say I was going to go for a hike. I'd rather take my smartwatch than have my smartphone on me. If I was going to go for a run, if I was going to go swimming, if I was going to go out to a bar at night and I didn't want to have a whole lot of things on me, it would be nice to have a smartwatch on that could take the place of a lot of other things that I don't need to fill my pockets with. So at the end of the day, I think smartwatches are going to continue to be a niche product. I think that Apple will have success selling through their Apple Watches because Apple is a fashion brand. There's nothing that you can do on Apple devices that you can't do on other devices. But it's a lifestyle brand. People like Apple because they know what to expect out of Apple, and they don't really have to think about a lot of choices because a lot of the choices are made for them. So I think that the Apple Watch will sell through fairly well, but at the end of the day, I don't think that a lot of people will be satisfied with the Apple Watch because it's not going to offer a lot of functionality. Again, there's nothing a smartwatch can do that a cell phone can't do except be smaller. And that's it. Now, another thing to factor in is price. The Pebble watch you can currently get for $99.99, all the way up to $199.99. So it's probably the least expensive smartwatch on the market. And again, for my money, that would be the only smartwatch I would consider buying. But even it hasn't pushed me over the edge yet. I don't find a need for it. And in full disclosure, I don't wear a watch anyway, because I'm not into making fashion statements, and if I need the time, that's what I have my cell phone for. Just pull it out of my pocket and look. Now, Android Wear watches you can get anywhere from $199 all the way up to $299. Samsung Gear watches go from $199 to $349, and that would be for the 3G Samsung Gear S that you can actually make phone calls on. Now, the Apple Watch is going to start at $349. Now, for my money, none of these devices are going to offer you the functionality that you would deserve for paying that kind of money. Again, the only one I could even think of buying would be a $100 Pebble watch. So until you see a smartwatch that is a standalone device, has decent battery life, and offers some sort of functionality that is unique, you're probably not going to see me review it on this channel. Now again, I'm not anti-smartwatch, I just personally don't think that it's worth your money at this point. So that's going to do it for this video. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. So if you like what you see, please subscribe. If you want to help out this channel, give me a thumbs up, favorite this video, share this video, or you can join my Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/TechHarvest. I do giveaways there, and at this point we're going to be doing a giveaway on the first day of summer. So check out patreon.com/TechHarvest for more information. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.